Running a Fever, Episode 72, A Visit to the Podiatrist.
Well, I'm Michael Davis, and I lost 70 pounds, 8 inches off my waist, lowered my blood pressure, increased my activity dramatically, and improved my life, all at the age of 52. I do this because I love my life. I love it enough to make it last as long as possible. So come along on this journey with me. We'll get there together. Medical report. In addition to the dietitian, I saw 2 other medical professionals this week. Actually 3. 2 of them had to do with dental work, getting an implant. So I had the final look. You get an implant and you have to, you have the implant done, you have the surgery, and it takes about 4 months for it to set in. And so it's been that 4 months, and the surgeon looked at it, says fine, took about 30 seconds. And then I went to the dentist to get an impression so they can make the tooth, or the crown, technically. And I'll have probably 2 next week, because I'm going to see the neuro, ortho, whatever, on Monday. I had to pick up my x-rays from a different place. They put them on a DVD and gave to me, or a CD, some sort of disc. And the other one was a podiatrist. Now, this is the first time that I've seen a podiatrist. Anyway, socially or in any way whatsoever. So I didn't know much about it, but I've had these toenails. It just didn't, big toenails. It just didn't look right. Hello. One of the reasons I came out early today was pretty nice in the 60s, but it's supposed to get real hot today, close to 90. So I definitely didn't want to go out in that, if I could avoid it. So I didn't know what to expect much from the podiatrist, but I wanted to get these fixed because it's not, I couldn't trim them. They're really sometimes dug into my other toes, so it was just time. Get a job that provides you insurance, or get access to insurance somehow, or just make tons and tons of money so you don't need insurance, but get your medical care. It's expensive, it's inconvenient. I have 40 hours of sick time per year, and I'm gonna probably use it all, and use some of my vacation or work extra hours to get the other whatever I need in. Hopefully I don't have something that keeps me from working. Usually when I get the flu or something, I can just stay home and work from home, just not infect anybody. But it's worth it. It's worth it if you want to live a long time and live a good, healthy, active life. So in a podiatrist office, they take you in, pretty normal, get all your information, fill out a bunch of forms, sign a bunch of stuff, and they take you into an exam room, and of course you don't see the doctor for a long time. But in this case, so you go in there and, like in a dentist chair, you lean back so you can access your mouth to do whatever he needs to do. And other specialist offices are similar. And this one, there's kind of a short chair for an average height person, and it puts the feet by where the doctor would sit, and your feet kind of hang off the end, so he can see. And then this doctor, apparently the center was a center for foot health and ankle health and something, so the ankles, he starts at the ankles. That's Anyway, all of that is hanging over the edge of the end of the chair. And the nurse comes in. And of course she asked me a few questions. They didn't take any vitals or anything. I'd actually already had my vitals taken earlier that day because it was biometrics check-in day. Blood pressure still low. And I've lost another inch off my quote-unquote waist, what the company calls a waist. So I'm easily within the limits on everything now, so I'll get my full benefit from insurance if I stay the same or get better. Better being relative term because it doesn't take into account body composition. But anyway, that's generally the case. So no vitals. And I go in and there's this nurse and, you know, she's looking at my feet and typing a bunch of stuff and looking at whatever. So she looks at my toenails and she begins to clip them, which I probably should have done before I went in there, but all right, 3.8, I need to go to 1.8, which I've already done. I'm gonna actually go to about the 1 1/4 point so we can get in maybe 5 miles today. Bump it up a little bit. And then maybe next week we can do a full circuit. Back to the podiatrist chair. So I probably had a week or two worth of toenail on there, and so she's clipping my toenails. Not that big a deal, I guess. But for some reason, when she's working on my feet, I got really tense. I don't know why. I mean, it wasn't tickling or anything, but I guess I was afraid she's going to chop off a toe. But I hadn't seen the worst of it yet. She trimmed as much as she could with the tools she had. And then she got out the grinder, right? The pumice or whatever you call it. So, you know, at least in the old days, you know, you get the dentist drill, and that's just like a dentist drill, and the laying out of the surgical instruments, the snapping of the latex glove, all of these things that horrify us about medical procedures. Well, it's the grinder. It's the toenail grinder. Yeah, so she really went to town on my toe. I mean, you know, she was trying to get all of the damaged parts of my toenail off. And she told me right away it's probably a fungus, and they're gonna test the clippings at a lab. And if it's a fungus, I'll have to take pills for 4 months, and then a year later it'll be gone. So that's good. Nurses a lot of times won't tell you a whole lot. Sometimes they do. Kind of stuff is kind of tightly controlled sometimes. But anyway, it's obviously a pretty relaxed office, but so she's cutting out all the, you know, affected parts of my toenail. She's trimmed it back as much as she can, and she's grinding away and grinds it down from the front, you know, quite a bit, and then starts on the top, you know, going down into it. And this was much worse than the clipping. I guess I just thought at any point she was going to dig into some flesh that I would actually feel. And she said that, all right, 1.25, so that puts us at, from 3.8 minus 1.25.
Warning. Live math. Warning. Live math.
0.55, something like that. So if we make it back to the car, and I'm already halfway through what was my original walk first time here. That tells you a little bit. I'm at that 0.25 part, you know, before I even get to the frisbee golf part of the old stomping grounds. She's grinding away. She says, yeah, shouldn't be no Shouldn't feel it at all because this is all dead. The toenail, she said, was actually hollow. It's just all kinds of weirdness and gruesomeness going on there. Finally, she's done. I don't think I've ever been relieved more than that in a long time. I was just tense the whole time, sweating. It was unreal. I'm usually not that uncomfortable in situations like this. Hopefully, I won't have to have that done again, but I got through it. And so the doc came in. It was really all very anticlimactic. Basically told me the same thing. Asked if I wanted to have them shipped off. Well, of course I do, you know. He said sometimes older people, they just don't care. They're just gonna live with it anyway. I don't know if you can live with it. I guess you've got to live with it until it gets to the point, because this has probably been going on for me for years. If you're old, don't give up. Get done what needs to be done. Compared to having your toenails ground down, taking a pill for 4 months is just no big deal. And if you can afford the doc, you can probably afford the medication. Just my opinion, but so that's it. I should get a report by Wednesday next week, they said. And then he'll either give me a prescription or say I'm fine, don't need it. Or maybe it's something else. He gave me some percentages. And while he was in there, I said, while I'm here, it's like the only time I'll ever see a podiatrist. What about these corns, which my doctor had diagnosed years earlier? And it's really one corn, but it's that it's starting to rain now. Wow. The sun's out, very little clouds in the sky, but it's starting to sprinkle. 90% come back with a fungus, something like that. 90% of that, one of them was 80, I don't know. The medication works in the year. If it doesn't work in the year, they just do it again for another year. So we looked at the corns. He told me about the surgery that you can have if there's a protruding bone, and they can grind it down, but they have to split your foot open and take out that section with the corn, and they grind down the bone, they sew it back up together again. I'm guessing I would be out of commission for a while with something like that going on in terms of exercise of any kind. Certainly walking, running, and it just doesn't bother me that much. Surgery is a different thing, because when you have surgery, there's always risks involved. Of course, there's risks to medication too. I don't think I'm conflicting myself when I say that maintaining this corn is not that big. It rarely bothers me. When it does, if I can just cut it down, then it's fine. Of course, he gave me another percentage on it, whatever, 60% of people, it's done, it's good for the rest of their lives or something. I don't know. And this is the big hill on the eastern trail from the old stomping grounds, heading back toward the botanical gardens. And I've just reached the top. Over 2 more miles to go. So anyway, I came out of the podiatrist's office with not a lot of toenail on my big toes. And my feet were sensitive for a couple of days. And that's another reason I wasn't working out as much. And then Wednesday or Thursday, I can't remember now, I was just debating. Felt okay, and I was just debating whether I should work out or wait another day, because hearing some things about overtraining and taking a week off, but based on the description, I don't think I was overtrained. It's not like I was just lacking energy all the time and weak and that sort of thing. It's just that I was sore. I want to get plenty of water and whatever else I have to do to get recovered. And I felt okay, and I was thinking of maybe better to go for a walk, because that really helped me with working out my soreness last time. And I decided to go to the gym instead because I really wasn't feeling the soreness anymore. It's just kind of, sometimes you think you've got a problem or a pain or whatever, and you just kind of get used to thinking you've got that problem. You don't really pay attention to, I don't pay attention to what I'm actually feeling in my body. So that was probably what was going on there. So, good progress this week in the medical department. Today we talked about my first time at the podiatrist office and what effect that had. I'm feeling good. I'm keeping the fever. You keep the fever too. I'll talk to you next time.
This is the Padua Podcast Network. PaduaMedia.com.